With Universal Orlando announcing that Shrek 4D will close in January of 2022, it has us wondering, what will replace it? Hey Pugh crew, welcome back.
If you're new here, on this channel we talk about all things theme parks, including updates, news, and even tips and tricks for your next theme park vacation. So if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
Today, Universal released news that Shrek 4D will be closing permanently and that the Mummy will be going down for an extensive refurb. So what we figured we'd do in today's video is talk a little bit about that news and then discuss what we think might replace Shrek and what we hope replaces Shrek.
Before we get into it, we did just want to say that these are not rumors that we've heard. These are just things that we think would make sense coming into Universal Studios, or things that we personally would like to see come to the parks. We are not in the business of spreading rumors. We just like to speculate on things. Universal announced to team members on Wednesday that Shrek 4D will be closing forever in January of 2022. We had already assumed that Shrek would be the next attraction to shut down based on its age and the decreasing popularity of the movies. We also assumed that Universal Studios would be the next park to get a new attraction because the Velocicoaster did open in Islands of Adventure this past summer.
Yeah, that's sort of the trend you see. They will open a new attraction in one park and then flip-flop to the other one. Like in 19, we got Hagrid's in Islands, and then we got Born Spectacular in Studios. Back over to Islands, we got Velocicoaster, and now it's time for a new attraction to arrive at Studios.
The attraction and its gift shop will be closing on January 10th of next year, and if we're being honest about it, we're really not that sad.
Not too bad.
The only thing that we would hate to see go is the Shrek and Donkey meet and greet. Donkey's hilarious, and he's probably our favorite character experience in the parks. Universal hasn't mentioned anything about this with the ride closure, so we're honestly not sure.
We're pretty sure because it just wouldn't necessarily make sense. Like, you don't walk into Diagon Alley and see like a Kung Fu Panda meet and greet over there. So yeah, it's pretty much guaranteed to be gone. But he is hilarious. Like, there's two things. If you haven't interacted with Donkey and Shrek, first, you need to. Like, make sure you do it. And second, you better hurry because like we said, forever.
But of course, this announcement has everyone wondering, what is going to replace Shrek 4D?
What is it?
Well, we have a few ideas of things that just make sense for the parks, and we also have some ideas that probably aren't gonna happen, but we would love to see come to Universal. The first and probably most obvious replacement would be
Shrek 5D, Donkey's Revenge.
Would be Secret Life of Pets.
That makes sense too.
Universal Studios Hollywood opened their latest attraction, Secret Life of Pets, off the leash in April of this year, and we think this is a strong contender for Shrek's replacement. This indoor dark ride was an instant hit, and it would fit perfectly into the soundstage that currently houses Shrek. Plus, the front of Universal Studios has a lot of children-themed rides and stores, such as Minions and Shrek,
Rip Ride Rocket,
Betty Boop, and Hello Kitty. And we think Secret Life of Pets would fit perfectly into that theme. Kung Fu Panda is another option. That franchise is really popular, and all three of those movies did fairly well. I think the movies came out in a similar time frame to Minions, which has been extremely successful at Universal, so I could really see that happening. Plus, this is another attraction that we've seen at Universal Hollywood, so it's a legitimate possibility.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say about Kung Fu Panda is the fact that it is an older franchise. The last movie came out, I think, in 2016, and it's just not that relevant. And even though, yeah, there is a ride out in Hollywood, I don't think that people are doing cartwheels over it. Like, I think it's being received kind of poorly.
With the announcement of Pokemon at Universal Japan, we've heard some speculation that a Pokemon-themed ride may be replacing Shrek, but we just don't think that's very likely to happen. We fully expect Pokemon to make its way into Universal Orlando, but we think it would make the most sense in the Woody Woodpecker Kids Zone in Studios. We expect the Pokemon area to be fully immersive, similar to what we've seen with Simpsons and the Wizarding World, and there just isn't enough room for that by Shrek.
The kids zone over there is a perfect fit for Pokemon in our opinion, and it's for a couple of reasons. There's a lot of land over there, like people don't understand. It's a big area, but there's also room for development, and what we mean by that is the Simpsons area. You may not know, but Disney now owns Simpsons, and Universal's contract runs up with them in 2028. So something big is going to have to take over that whole area. And what's more immersive, or what is a bigger IP than Pokemon? It just sort of makes sense. You may not have heard this at this point, but Pokemon is kind of a big deal. The only thing that we would like to see stay over in the Kids Zone area is, of course, E.T. You can definitely justify it. E.T.'s basically a Pokemon, and then you have like Magdal, who's like Team Rocket, which is the bad Pokemon, so it would work out perfectly. Just keep E.T., just act like he's, Pokemon number, what are we on, 784 or something. It's really high.
I would honestly be surprised if this happened because the franchise is so old at this point, and I'm not really sure how relevant it is to kids today, but I would love to see a Scooby-Doo attraction. I know Scooby-Doo was in Hanna-Barbera, which is one of the original Universal Studios rides, but this is another one of those series where the characters are already in the parks. Plus, it's so well known that it would appeal to such a wide audience.
Yeah, and I believe there was a movie released earlier this year.
Yeah.
And I think there's supposed to be another movie coming out next year, and I'm sure it was wildly successful. Like that movie from earlier this year probably made dozens and dozens of dollars. So yeah, it's a possibility. The attraction that I would love to see come here is like a Universal Monsters attraction. I mean, think about it. You've got Monsters Cafe right there. You've got that food and drink kiosk with the monsters on top of it. And that building did used to be Alfred Hitchcock. It just makes perfect sense.
As much as I would also love to see that, I really doubt that that's going to happen. I don't think that the younger generations are going back and watching movies from the 1920s and 30s, so I just don't think it's that relevant.
They're watching movies from the 20s though.
Plus, that area is kind of kid themed with Shrek and Minions and all that, so I'm not really sure it fits in, but I guess with Rip Ride Rocket right there, that's not exactly a family attraction.
Kind of depends on the family.
So, who knows? But regardless, whatever replaces Shrek is going to have to fit in the soundstage that already exists. Yeah. We don't expect them to tear that down or really...
Not a chance.
No, they're not going to change anything about that building, really. So all of the ideas that we've mentioned do kind of lend themselves to indoor 3D dark rides, because we fully expect this attraction to be something like Minions, where it's just a 3D simulator, or something kind of like Spider-Man.
Something that moves, possibly, yeah.
Right, you may not be stationary, but we do expect this to be a 3D attraction. We mentioned Revenge of the Mummy earlier in this video, and it was originally scheduled for a big refurbishment, but Universal had to postpone that due to the pandemic. Yeah. And instead they just shut the ride down for 2 weeks in January of this year. It got some much needed TLC and they updated some of the graphics, but this ride did open in 2004, so we knew that it would eventually get this big update that it desperately needs. Universal announced The Mummy will be closing on January 7th of 2022, and it will remain closed until late summer. We're both happy and sad about this because we hate that we're gonna have a couple trips to Universal where we don't get to ride this ride, but at the same time, we're really excited to see how it changes.
Yeah, so The Mummy is one of those rides that we just ride a ton when we're in the parks. Yeah. So it's really bittersweet. But this is much needed. This is going to revitalize the ride, sort of like what happened with the Hulk in 2017. And I am extremely excited and anxious to see if Brendan Fraser finally gets that cup of coffee. Alright guys, that wraps up today's video. Leave us a comment in the comment section and let us know. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you?
If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up. You can hit that subscribe button and turn on that bell notification so you get an alert every time we post a new video.
Thanks for watching. He's under your bed.